I would like to introduce Mrs. Angela Spencer, who will sing the national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we held at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does the star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Thank you, Ms. Spencer. With us today to deliver our invocation is one of our department chaplains, Rabbi Sikowitz.
Dear God, God of our fathers and our mothers, the source of all blessing, bless us here this day as we remember these 5 valiant officers who died in the line of duty. 5 men who were doing what they thought was what they were supposed to do. Please keep their souls close to your breast. Keep them safe. God, please bless the family of Officer Bremer. It is never easy to lose a loved one. You can never take the pain away. But please, with your grace, give them moments of comfort so that they can remember their son, their husband, their father, brother, and sister. Please also bless all the men and women of today's Frederick City Police Force. Bless them with the strength to carry on to do what they need to do, because what they do makes it so that the rest of us are safe. And please bless their families so that none of the families of our present police force will ever know the pain of losing a loved one. For all these blessings that I've asked of you today, for all the blessings that you provide to us each and every day, we say thank you and amen.
Thank you, Rabbi Sikowitz. I would like to take a moment to recognize honored and distinguished guests. The Mayor of Frederick City, Randy McClement, the City Board of Aldermen and Alderwomen, Pro Tem Kelly Russell, Alderwoman Donna Kuzumchek, Mr. Robin Summerfield from Senator Cardin's office, Mrs. Juliana Albowitz from Senator Mikulski's office, and a representative from Congressman Delaney's office from the 6th District. Also the Chief of Police, Ed Hargis, and his command staff. Please welcome to the podium the Mayor of Frederick City, Mayor Randy McClement.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's with great honor and pride that I'm able to present this proclamation today on behalf of the City of Frederick. Before I do so, I do wish to say real quick that Rabbi Sikowitz probably said it the best, that our police force, on your worst day, they're there for you. And we appreciate everything they do, and that they're there to protect us, and we don't have the opportunity a lot to thank you, but I would like to publicly right now thank you for all of your service and for your protection that you provide us, as citizens and the business members of the City of Frederick. With that, I would like to present this proclamation. Frederick Police Officers Memorial Day, 29th of April, 2016. Whereas today, we gather to pay tribute to our police officers who made the ultimate sacrifice while unselfishly protecting the citizens in this community. Today, we honor and remember the brave and devoted men and women in blue who risk their lives daily to safeguard lives and property, reduce the incidence and fear of crime with impartiality and integrity. Today, we pay tribute to the officers who sacrificed their lives working with the community to enhance public safety and improve quality of life for all citizens. It is fit and proper that we express our gratitude for the personal and professional sacrifices made by police officers and their families. Today, we remember Special Police Officer Henry Adams, Sergeant Lewis F. Carter, Officer John H. Adams, Sergeant Harry Phillips, and Officer First Class Richard Mark Bremer, who have fallen in the line of duty. Knowing we can never repay the debt to these officers or their families, we will keep their memory alive and pay tribute to the legacy continuing to serve and protect as they so fiercely believed in. Now, therefore, I, Randy McClement, Mayor of the City of Frederick, do proclaim April 29th, 2016 as Frederick Police Officers Memorial Day in honor of those officers who, through their courageous deeds, have made the ultimate sacrifice in service to their community. I ask you to join with me as we honor these brave men and pay tribute to their legacy. Signed by myself on behalf of the Board of Aldermen and especially the citizens of the City of Frederick. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Please welcome the Chief of the Frederick Police Department, Chief Ed Hargis.
Good afternoon. Welcome to the Frederick Police Department Memorial Service. National Police Week and memorial services such as this one are held all around the country and allows us to honor and pay tribute to the men and women who have made the ultimate sacrifice for our communities, the American people, our cherished freedoms, and our way of life. On average, we lose a law enforcement officer in this country every 61 hours. Just about once every 2.5 days, a law enforcement officer who is a father, mother, brother or sister, son or daughter, husband or wife, does not come home to their family. The Frederick Police Department has lost 5 of its members to a line-of-duty death during its history. These members have laid down their lives while upholding the law as they put the safety of the community above their own. You see, law enforcement is not about badges and uniforms. It's about taking a stand to preserve the rights of our citizens and shielding them from danger. The officers that we remember today stood their ground, did their jobs, and along with their families and friends have paid the highest price. This is a legacy that these officers leave behind, and it's a legacy that time cannot diminish. The men and women of law enforcement are devoted to a profession that is more of a calling rather than an occupation. It's a commitment to a life of service to others and whom they will probably never know or meet. When an officer leaves for work, they really never know if they will return home, as it's a job filled with unknown risks. A routine quiet shift can turn chaotic and violent without any warning. The National Law Enforcement Memorial in Washington, D.C. contains over 20,000 names of law enforcement officers lost in the line of duty and date back to as far as 1791. This year, 252 names will be added to the memorial. This includes 124 officers who were killed in the line of duty in 2015 while protecting their towns and cities. Of these 124 officers, 42 were actually killed by gunfire, 52 lost their lives in motor vehicle accidents, and 30 died from other causes. 9 female officers and 115 male officers paid the ultimate sacrifice last year. On average, they were 41 years old, with 12 years of experience, and left 2 children behind to grow up without one of their parents. The men and women whose names are engraved into the memorial represent the best America has to offer. We train and equip our officers to survive these very same encounters. We never want to hear the words "officer down." However, too many of us have heard those same words come over the radio. Protecting our nation's communities is a dangerous job, and the members of the Frederick Police Department are a group of dedicated professionals who have accepted this challenge. We see our officers on a daily basis demonstrate the selflessness, fearlessness, and the valor that is characterized by those officers that we are here to remember today. The citizens of Frederick should be proud to have officers of this caliber patrolling their neighborhoods and doing what is necessary to keep our city safe. Our officers and their families should never doubt that our appreciation and admiration for their dedication to duty and service. I'd like to take a moment to thank everybody for being here today, as well as your continued support for the Frederick Police Department. As the Chief of Police, I ask that you remember the incredible sacrifice made by our fallen officers, thank those who have served, and pray for the safety of our current law enforcement officers who continue to protect us every day. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief Argus. I would like to introduce our guest speaker to today's memorial service, Frederick County State's Attorney, Mr. Charlie Smith.
Thank you all for coming today. My name is Charlie Smith. I'm the State's Attorney here in Frederick County. I really appreciate being asked to speak. It's an honor. It really, really is to see everyone out here, basically honoring the officers that have fallen and honoring the Bremer family. It's great to see you guys. I know you guys are Middletown people. Ryan, you look great, brother. I'm his football coach, so hopefully you're coming out again this year. But, this ceremony is about you all just as much as it is about the other officers that have fallen, because it's your sacrifice as well as your dad's. And so we need to understand that our officers, while they serve, they have families that are serving behind them. And those families sacrifice an awful lot. I'm married to a law enforcement officer. I see not only your firsthand sacrifice, but the families also sacrifice. They deal with the shift work, the kids. I mean, it is not easy being a police officer in this day and age. And I'm going to get to why it's not easy. We understand it's not easy because sometimes you fall at the hands of physical violence. But there's other stressors. There's other parts of this job that make it very difficult. And again, we're here to honor those who have fallen and their families. But we're also here, I think, to raise awareness, community awareness about violence against law enforcement officers so that there's not more families at these events, but also I think this attitude of violence that we have against our police officers in this day and age. And that's just a sin. It's terrible what the United States is becoming in terms of their disrespect and this attitude of violence against our men and women in blue. It's something that I didn't see existed 25 years ago when I was a prosecutor, and it's becoming more and more so as we progress supposedly as a community. So you know, these people are committed these people are committed to bettering our community and to protecting us. And unfortunately, as of late, that commitment, which we honored and valued so much, is under siege. The police's commitment to us is under siege, in my opinion. And people understand the need for officers to protect themselves from physical violence that they endure both on duty and off duty. And this violence obviously sometimes results in death and oftentimes in injury to our police officers. But what they don't understand, in my opinion, is this attitude of violence that's growing in America against these same people who protect our homes, our businesses, our loved ones. You know, I was looking on the internet actually I was looking at some statistics, many of which have been quoted to you today. And these are the things that our officers have to deal with. There's a Bureau of Justice Assistance carries a lot of statistics. And what I found was, you know, there are these things where now we're questioning, are you ready for duty? These are the things, instead of protecting our homes, they have to protect themselves now more so than protecting us. You know, they say, are you ready for duty? Are you wearing your vest? They stress that. Is your vest fitting properly? Because as statistics show, there's been over 100 police officers that have been killed by a round that's entered either vest panel, seams, or under the arm area. Over 100 officers have been killed, regardless of the fact that they've been wearing their vest. So these are the stressors that our officers are dealing with today. Is your vest fit properly? Are you physically ready for your service? Offenders who assaulted police officers or killed them sized them up before they did so. These are the studies that have shown. Mental readiness. They have to be mentally ready to serve. Okay? 4 out of 8 officers involved in on-the-job accidents were impaired because of fatigue, because of shift work, because of long hours, because of the stress they endure. And not just the stress that comes at them from violence, but I believe the stress that they have to deal with in being disrespected by people on the street anymore. There isn't an attitude of respect, there's an attitude of disrespect. And that's a shame. So they have to deal with being mentally ready. They have to deal with being vigilant off duty. There's been 27 officers that were killed off duty. They're starting to have policies in place now about whether you identify yourself as a police officer off duty, because they're afraid that police officers are now going to be located as such off duty and targeted for physical violence, which is ridiculous. So they have to be situationally aware. 21% of officer deaths were classified as ambushes while they were on duty. 21%. They were ambushed. They didn't even have a chance to protect themselves. So all of these things, in my opinion, are something that we need to be aware of as a community. And we need to stand up and regain respect for our police officers. Respect that I think is eroded in the press, quite frankly. And I'm telling you, folks, in over 25 years of prosecuting, precious few occasions that I've seen officers that have exercised incorrectly. Precious few. The vast majority of officers are out there to protect us and our families and our homes. And they endure physical violence, and I think they're enduring an attitude of violence in this day and age. And so I would ask our community to stand together, to be aware not only of violence against law officers that unfortunately result in deaths like the death of Officer Bremer, but result in an attitude of violence. So I thank you once again for allowing me to speak here today. It's an honor and a privilege, and That's all I have for you today. Thanks again.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. 1880, Officer Henry Adams. Officer Henry Adams was hired as a special police officer for the elections in 1879. While at the polling place, a fight broke out. Someone struck Officer Henry Adams from behind with a brick wrapped in a bandana. Officer Adams died of his injuries in the spring of 1880. His son was 4 years old at the time. September 7th, 1922, Sergeant Lewis F. Carter. Officer Carter suffered a heart attack while testifying during a court trial and died. August 9th, 1922, Officer John H. Adams. Officer Adams was killed by William Stoltz when coming to the aid of sheriff's deputies. The deputies were shot by Stoltz while attempting to take possession of a vehicle which had been levied. Officer Adams and Officer Walsh arrived on the scene. Officer Adams attempted to contact Schultz when he was shot in the right side, just above the shoulder. He died before he reached the hospital. Officer Walsh crawled alongside the house and fired his weapon in the direction he thought the shot came from. When Schultz was taken into custody, he was found to have been struck in the hip by one of the rounds fired by Officer Walsh. John's father, Henry, was killed on the line of duty in 1880. February 11th, 1962, Sergeant Harry P. Phillips died during the early morning hours after being struck in the chest during a struggle to apprehend a prisoner from an assault that occurred in the 200 block of West Patrick Street. The sergeant apparently suffered a heart attack inside his police patrol cruiser while en route to Frederick Memorial Hospital. October 23rd, 2008, Officer First Class Richard Mark Bremer. Officer Bremer was on routine patrol in the area of the 400 block of West Patrick Street. He observed a suspicious vehicle in the area and attempted to stop the vehicle for traffic violations and possibly driving while intoxicated. The vehicle refused to stop and was pursued by Officer Bremer. During the pursuit, Officer Bremer's patrol vehicle was involved in a vehicle accident in the 500 block of East South Street, and Officer Bremer succumbed to his injuries he sustained in the crash. There are many in this crowd today who worked with Officer Bremer. Officer Bremer was an excellent police officer with high integrity, character, work ethic, and professionalism. He will never be forgotten. Placing the rose on Officer Bremer's chair will be his son, Ryan. In memory of Officer Bremer, members of the Fraternal Order of Police Lodge 91 are presenting Officer Bremer's family with 2 memorial etchings. In memory of all 5 officers, members of the Fraternal Order of Police Lodge 91 will present to the city a memorial wreath in their honor. At this time, please join me in a moment of silence to keep the memories of these officers in our hearts and in our prayers. Thank you. Part of America died. America died. A piece of our country he swore to protect will be buried with him at his side. The suspect that shot him will stand up in court with counsel demanding his rights, while a young widowed mother must work for her kids and spend many long, lonely nights. The beat that he walked was a battlefield too, just as he had gone off to war. Through the flag of our nation won't fly at half-mast. To his name they will add a gold star. Yes, somebody killed a policeman today in your town or mine. While we slept in comfort behind our locked doors, a cop put his life on the line. Now his ghost walks a beat on a dark city street, and he stands at each new rookie's side. He answered the call of himself, gave his all, and a part of America died. Please join Rabbi Sikowitz for a moment of reflection and benediction.
Up until a few years ago, when I became a chaplain for the Frederick City Police Force, I had never spent time reflecting, thinking, wondering about the calling, the career of police officers. And while I've spent time now with police officers and gone on calls with them and have had to inform loved ones that someone has passed, I still don't fully understand what it means, what it feels like to know that every call that comes in has an ending that we don't know. That every time you come to work each morning, evening, afternoon, you don't know what's going to happen. And yet, you come each day, every day. You serve the citizens of Frederick to the best of your abilities, without thought to yourselves, without thought to your health. Many of you have families at home who must wonder every time you go out in the morning whether you'll be back, whether they will get a call. We citizens of Frederick cannot possibly understand completely, but we do feel gratitude. We do honor you and know that you are there for us, that without you, we have no idea what this city would be like, and frankly do not ever want to know. And so as we leave here today, after honoring these 5 heroes and the family of one of them, we will take with us the memory of these 5 heroes. We will take with us the knowledge that all of you are here each day, every day, without thinking of yourselves and are here to protect us. And with God's grace, each of you will return home every night to your loved ones, to the people who miss you, to the people who love you, and you will leave Frederick a better city. Amen.
Thank you, Rabbi Sankwitz. I would like to thank Mr. Charlie Smith, Angela Spencer, the Montgomery County Fire, Pipes and Drum Band, Mr. Scott Patnode, the bugle player, retired Officer John Piggott, Corporal Tracy Wilds, Corporal Simon Temple, Miss Jen Chin, and Tiana Wood. In closing, I would like to quote a law enforcement survivor. It is not how these officers died that made them heroes. It is how they lived. This concludes our ceremony, and thank you for coming.